Da 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 da. Yeah. Oh, ooh, baby. It is Wednesday, March 19th. Irish St. Patty's Day is done, folks. This is Inside Arm Wrestling, home for all news on arm wrestling, fitness sports, strength sports, and all those other things that I still can't remember my own intro for. But hey, March 19th, the fun music, glasses are on, which can only mean one thing. Clap, snap, point. Here we go. Glasses come off. Let's dive into it, folks. First story. I'll be honest with you. I'm a fan. And when it comes to sports, I'm a huge fan of anyone who excels, regardless of what they excel in. I think the body and the ability to move your body into a state that just eclipses all of those around you is an amazing thing. And being in the NFL, I believe that is really the pinnacle of achievement. I think anybody and everybody would agree to that. And so today on Travis Bagent's page, The Beast, and folks, tell me I'm the greatest is almost done. That's coming out. It looks really good. But on Travis's page, today they put a top 10 backup quarterback list in the NFL. Now, I hate the fact that it has the backup title to it because, again, it kind of signifies that the man that I'm about to talk about is not yet starting, but I do believe that this young man is destined to start. And I'll be quite honest with you, with his work attitude and his work ethic and how he just really runs his life, I would love to see him find his way to the main stage on the Super Bowl. And God willing, hopefully he ends up winning a ring at some point. But on this page, I thought that it was really a true testament of where this young man's growth has gone. From a young man at Shepherd University going as an undrafted free agent to making the Bears to now going into his third season. And obviously he has to make the team, make the squad, season 3, under contract. But top 10 backup quarterbacks in the NFL, they've got him listed at number 6. And listen, there's 32 teams in the NFL. That's a pretty high caliber rating. So if you want to put that in perspective, they've got 5 quarterbacks above him and 32 other quarterbacks that are starting that they think are better than Tyson, at least in terms of value to be a quarterback in the NFL. So if you look at the best NFL quarterback, I don't know who that would be at this point. Certainly Jalen Hurts proved that he was the leader of the Eagles and maybe the claim of being the best quarterback in last season as a leader. Maybe not statistically, but best quarterback as a leader, leading his team to a Super Bowl. But you start going down the list, and then you find as you get into that second string, which all could be leading quarterbacks. I mean, you got Kirk Cousins, who was a starter for many years. Dan Jones, again, a starter for many years. Zach Wilson. Joe Milton, don't know a lot about Joe Milton, I'll be honest with you. I think Tyson and Joe might be interchangeable. Marcus Mariota, who, again, was a starting quarterback. I believe Marcus was a Heisman Trophy winner, too. And I believe Marcus was out of Oregon University, the Ducks. So then you get Tyson Bagent. I think Tyson could be a number 5. I think with his youth, with his ability to continue to learn and grow and to step into a leading role, yes, I mean, there is arguments that perhaps a Cousins, a Wilson, a Jones has played at the highest level. Certainly they are ready to start quarterbacks if need be. And you can make the argument for Marcus Mariota. But I think Tyson Bagent could be a number 5. And honestly, I think that he's number 1. I think he should be starting somewhere. But, a big kudos to you, Tyson. I was a fan when I met you out in West Virginia. I'm a fan today, and I'll be a fan forever. This young man is certainly, how's the best way to explain it? You grow up in your life and you meet people and you live vicariously through them. And when their kids or their success is something you can look at and say, wow, I know that person. It's just an amazing feeling. And nothing is better than watching young people in my opinion, succeed. All people succeed, but young people succeed in general, being the fact that I have kids. Kudos to this young man. So I think he's number 5. Honestly, I think he's number 1 backup in the NFL. And could be a starter. Give or take the right team and the right situation, he could make the field this year. And honestly, hopefully he does. But anyway, great job, Tyson. Super excited about your success and just a big fan. Having said all that, folks, changing our attention, we're going to stay on a sports topic today. As you can see, I am all volunteered up. Megan is over in the home of the Knoxville, Tennessee Volunteers. As you know, she's a grad student there and an academic advisor. What better way to support my daughter and their team? Hat, coffee mug, which is still hot. I just got to put some coffee in there. Just brewed it. And my Tennessee t-shirt. Man, I am all volunteered up. And what does that mean? That's right. Inside Arm Wrestling is not always about arm wrestling. Well, it kind of is, but kind of not. So what we want to do is we kind of want to make some predictions. And by the time this video gets up, it will probably be later tomorrow, maybe Friday. But we want to kind of go through the brackets, or I do. Want to make some predictions and kind of go through the list and see how I do, right? I mean, I could play the ESPN Fantasy Challenge, and actually last year I think I was in the top 8%. And I may end up putting it in anyway. Who knows? I might feel I have some time tonight. But I kind of want to go over who I think is going to make it out and in what direction. If I look at the divisions, if I go to the South first, obviously the number 1 seed in the South is Auburn. Auburn, who took a tough loss to Tennessee in the SEC final, did get the number 1. And they play Alabama State, which is obviously a layup. I kind of think that Auburn has the pedigree in this bracket. I like the fact that Yale is at Texas A&M, and I like the fact that Yale can upset Texas. I think that's a potential for a big win for an Ivy League school, being from Cornell. Nothing better than seeing us Ivy Leaguers play some really good basketball right around the March time. I don't see a lot of upsets in here. To be honest with you, could New Mexico upset Marquette? Yeah, but I don't know how much of an upset that is. Michigan State in the number 2 position. I think, again, when you get to the final 8, Elite 8, I think Michigan State and Auburn are really the pedigree. Could Michigan come through? I don't know. I think UC San Diego's had an amazing year this year. Not only being in San Diego, but I think that they play in a conference that's not as competitive, but they do win, and they play solid basketball. So, folks, I kind of like that matchup for UC San Diego. I think there's an upset there. I don't really see too many other upsets. I think North Carolina as an 11 can beat Ole Miss. Don't know if that's an upset. I guess bracket-wise, position-wise it is. But I think North Carolina can win there. If I head out to the South, I'm going to go, obviously, we're going to see Duke with the play-in game. They get started on March 21st. As I go down through that bracket, Oregon versus Liberty, I think that's a weird matchup. I'll be honest with you. I don't know much about Liberty, and I know that Oregon has played some good basketball this year, but Oregon has a tough time winning big games, I think, in basketball and in football. What? But being an Oregon State fan and a Beaver believer, I think that Arizona is actually Arizona is a great tournament team. Let me tell you something, folks. I've watched and followed March Madness for a lot of years. Arizona is one of those teams that when you do Calcutta's always seem to make it into the money. I think Duke has a hard time against Arizona this year. But again, the basketball gods have a funny way of handling things. As I go back through St. Mary's, Vanderbilt. So I think Vandy is maybe a team that has a little bit of value. Alabama coming out of the SEC, I don't think is as good as a number 2 seed. Maybe some people will argue with me. They did play really good basketball this year. But I'm going to tell you this. I think Vanderbilt gets past St. Mary's. I think Vanderbilt gets past Alabama. I think Vanderbilt goes into the Elite 8. I think Vanderbilt may find themselves against Arizona in the Elite Eight, possibly Duke. Again, I like Arizona. Arizona, for some reason, plays some terrific March ball. Going down into the West, obviously the West Coast is the best coast. Woo what? All right, that's a little bit overkilling, but you know what? We're putting a little bit of sound effects, or as we say in the entertainment industry, follies, right? Crickets chirping. That gave Anthony an opportunity to put crickets chirping. Door slamming. Anthony can put a door slamming sound effect in. Greg making the right bet or the wrong one. He can put in a wah-wah right there. And then we move through. All right, back in the West, we've got Florida versus Norfolk State. Honestly, thank you, Norfolk State, for winning the American cheeseburger and fry division. UConn, Oklahoma, I mean, it's a toss-up to me. Memphis, Colorado State. Memphis, another team that plays really good basketball come playoff time. Maryland, Grand Canyon. This is an interesting matchup for me. GCU, and I don't know if Dan Marley is still the coach out at GCU. GCU plays some really good basketball. For being a very small school out of Arizona, their reputation is growing. I think maybe the upset in this one, the 13 over a 4, maybe GCU can get by Maryland. Missouri, Drake, I don't know much about Drake. Could be an upset. Texas Tech, UNC Wilmington. Again, one of those games that UNC Wilmington, can they play Texas Tech close? I think so. Is Texas Tech a playoff-ready March Madness team? I don't think so. Obviously, they're considered one of the top 12 teams in the nation right now if they've got a number 3 ranking. But I don't know. I think Texas Tech may be in for an upset. Kansas, Arkansas. Kansas, another one of those March Madness teams that just seem to pop up. And here's a weird game. I mean, St. John's versus Omaha. I know the Johnnies coming out of Big East are certainly a team of legends and lore. Luke Carnesecca, back in the 80s, was, the prolific 70s and 80s prolific coach. John Thompson for Georgetown. There were a lot of characters back then that made Big East basketball great. Unfortunately, Big East basketball isn't great anymore, in my opinion. I don't think St. John's has a problem getting by Omaha. I do think St. John's has a problem getting by Kansas. I think Kansas gets into Sweet 16, and quite honestly, I think Kansas might get past into the Final 8, to the Elite 8. It's a tough game. Let me tell you something. It's a tough game. They're going to have to go through a couple of tough teams on the backside. But if I look at the Elite 8, yeah, you know what? I think the Elite 8 comes down to Kansas. I think Kansas gets by. I don't think St. John's gets by Kansas. I think a number 7. I don't think Texas Tech survives. I think a number 7 seed in the West makes it there. But who cares about those other divisions, right? Because we didn't talk about the Volunteers. So as we head out to the Midwest, Houston with the number 1 seed. Houston, a really good basketball team. Matter of fact, Houston athletics as a whole has brought itself up to levels that I think are very, very, what's the word I want to use? Commendable. Because, at a time, Houston kind of fell out of its allure in the late 90s, certainly in the 2000s. Houston had some probationary issues that they went through. They had some restructuring. I think Houston now is a great, great school when it comes to sports. Houston, number 1 seed. I don't see anything going on there. I don't think they have a problem getting by Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga as an 8th seed walks away to Houston and goes home this year. Clemson, McNeese. Clemson is a better team. Purdue. Clemson, Purdue, it's a toss-up. Perhaps I don't think anybody on the top of that bracket gets by Houston. On the bottom of the bracket, Illinois has the play-in game. Kentucky against Troy. I think Kentucky in this division makes this division the toughest, in my opinion. I don't think Kentucky gets any problem with Troy, and certainly they won't have any problem against Illinois. I think UCLA, Utah State, I think that's the upset of this division. I think Utah State beats UCLA. UCLA is a weird basketball team. They just haven't really had a whole lot of continual success. And quite honestly, with a team that really had maybe the biggest early college basketball allure with Coach Woodward and all of the UCLA great teams but decades ago. I think UCLA has really got to concentrate on how to redevelop their program to become a top tier basketball team. As a number 7 seed, they're in the top 25 to 24 to 25 to 28. I just think UCLA basketball still has a long way to go. I think Utah State actually can beat this team. And then, of course, Tennessee versus Wofford. My pick, Tennessee, coming into the Elite 8. And then if I break down my Elite 8, I think Tennessee makes it to the Final Four, folks. I think Tennessee can get it done against Houston. Where Houston comes into that Final Four, how they look, what kind of challenges they have, I think Tennessee has a really, really good team. So if I had to make my picks, I would take the Florida team out of the West for the Final Four, Tennessee out of the Midwest. I think I said that I really liked Auburn out of the South, and I'm going to take. I'm telling you, folks, this is the upset. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to put Vanderbilt in the Final Four. Folks, you've heard it here. If Vanderbilt gets to the Final Four, you're gonna look back at this video and say, "Oh my God, Greg is like an amazing guru of basketball." But the reality is that I think Vanderbilt is a sleeper team. They beat Tennessee. Now they beat Tennessee at home, but they have some talent there, and they play well. They play well coached basketball. I think that's the sleeper team. I think they get past Alabama. And I'm going to say this, I think they get past Duke. I certainly think if Arizona or Duke as a coin flipper there, if it's Arizona, I think they get past Arizona as well. So I'm going to go Vanderbilt. I'm going to go Auburn. I'm going to go Florida. I'm going to go Houston with 4 out of 4 SEC teams. Hold the cameras. Sound effect can go in there. Hold the cameras. If what I'm saying comes true, and there's 14 teams in the SEC in the tournament this year, if Auburn, if Florida, if Tennessee and Vanderbilt all make the Final Four, that is an all SEC final. SEC wins the championship. I'm going to stick with it. There's my 4. I like the fact that Tennessee goes all the way. My winner, Tennessee over Auburn. I think Auburn upsets Florida, although Florida played really well at the final SEC tournament. But I think Auburn comes back. Auburn plays Tennessee in a nail-biter. 82-80, Tennessee, Final Four, Final 1 prediction. There you go. All right, so let's get into some arm wrestling because you know what this is, Inside Arm Wrestling. A couple of quick notes, guys. If you are not watching FLS, you should be because FLS is the home of Inside Arm Wrestling. Inside Arm Wrestling is a 24-hour sports and news channel streaming on a fast network live stream with free live sports. It offers not only Inside Arm Wrestling, not only the best of World Series of Arm Wrestling, but also the amazing Hollywood Matt Connolly, AWE content, and now Flash Pin Productions. This is the home for arm wrestling. It's the future of arm wrestling. Make sure if you want to get involved with the Fast channel and Inside Arm Wrestling, you reach out to us here at Inside Arm Wrestling so we can get your content and your events on live. So having said that, that's my pitch out there. Also, if you're in the market for supplements, Bucked Up is our official 2025 supplement sponsor, as well as Stem Regen. Stem Regen, the #1 natural, safe stem cell rejuvenation formula product out there. I've been taking Stem Gen. Listen, folks, I actually feel really good. I'll be honest with you. I believe in the product. It certainly has helped me. Stem Regen is the real deal. Make sure you go to our websites, not only on Bucked Up, but on Stem Regen to get your discount with the World Series of Arm Wrestling. And when you get your product, make sure you post a picture, tag us, tag the sponsor, and let us know that you're out there. Always appreciate it. Now, as we get into the world of arm wrestling, folks, let's also talk about our 3 regionals real quick in May. World Series of Arm Wrestling kicks off now in Baja, California. Me no hablo español, but Greg Brown does, and Greg Brown does it. Anthony kind of likes that because he hables. Greg Brown really does a great job. He's got a tournament May 3rd. Weigh-ins on Friday and Saturday. He's giving away $1,000 an arm. Listen, for the overalls, that's a great prize. If you win, you are able to come to not only the World Series of Arm Wrestling, but you also will get some hotel rooms. Greg's going to designate which weight classes those are. If you also participate, you are also welcome. Remember, if you participate, you're still welcome to come up. Then we head out to Ogden, Utah at the Fraternal Order of Eagles out there in Ogden, Utah with Justin Green's tournament. He is a tournament promoter that is bringing in a suicide prevention theme. Always a near and dear value to us. Suicide prevention is a real thing. They are pulling for perseverance out there in Ogden, so make sure you're getting involved. And folks, what better way to get involved if you're in the Windy City in the month of May? Travis Bagent is bringing that to the, what is it called, Anthony? The
King of Chicago.
King of Chicago. So here's the thing, though, folks. You need to look at this flyer very, very carefully. There is only a weigh-in from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock on Saturday, the 24th. It is May 24th. So on Saturday, May 24th, there is a weigh-in from 1 to 2 p.m. He's going to have 4 different weigh-ins in there, 4 different weigh-in stations for each weight class. You need to come in. You need to be ready. You need to weigh in. Brackets will be populated, and they start pulling, I believe, at 2:30. He will have some super matches out there, but make sure you're paying attention to that one. That's a little bit different. There is no pre-weigh-ins the night before. You can only weigh in the day of. All right, and now in June, we're going to announce our schedule pretty soon. Folks, we've got a few quick changes that we are making availed on some of the locations, but we will have our June out as well as July. August will be our final month. I rephrase that. September will be our final month. We have a couple of regionals that are going to be happening in September. And our final regional will be out in the Florida area October 4th, I believe it is. So look for all of those flyers. They are coming out. I know it's a mouthful. And this is only a beginning because we'll be kicking off season number 5 in January of next year. We are going to go to a 12-month cycle. We may actually have a Christmas event. Not sure yet. But we are going to be annually, all year round, doing regionals coming into the finals. We got some big announcements coming. Look for April 9th for me in Las Vegas to make a huge announcement. But that's just news in the future. That's another Inside Arm Wrestling video. Right, Anthony?
Yes.
Yeah, he agrees. All right. So let's go to East versus West, guys. 10 days out. And listen, I want to talk about Corey West versus Devon Lorette. And it's the highlight of the match. I guess it's you would call it the main event. A lot of people speculate a lot of different ways on this event. Can Corey pull through Devon in a real match? And maybe that answer is yes. I mean, obviously, most people are going to say no. You've got Devon Lorette, who arguably in the greatest of all time category, still, arguably the number 2 super heavyweight in the world. Maybe number 1 on the left. Vitaly holds the gauntlet right now. Devon, I don't know where those rankings really look, but I don't see Devon as a person that's very uneven in arm wrestling. I think if he trains that left arm up, it's a hard day for anybody. So you've got the highest level of value on Devon's side. And you got Corey West, who is a world elite puller, certainly making his way up. He had a match in December, didn't go his way. And again, there's a lot of factors that go into why people win or lose. That match didn't go his way. Wasn't able to make some adjustments that I think would have really, actually he should have won in my opinion. Had he went to the strap, had he made some adjustments early in the game, he would have had a much better outcome in my opinion. I sit, certainly front row there. So, as a fan and as an arm puller, I thought that he had some real tactical advantages he could have implemented, didn't. When you're in the moment, folks, that happens. Certainly as a boxer, a lot of times going to my corner, my trainers would give me some instructions. It would sound great. Bell would ring. Next thing you know, I'm fighting, but I'm not listening to a word that they say. And it's frustrating, right? Because I walk away from that and thinking, wow, I could have really done something different. I'm sure I talked to Corey. He felt the same way. But this is a little bit of redemption for Corey. I think that this is a win-win for Corey on all levels. And what I really mean is that Corey in this match is a win because now he gets to test himself at what I'll call one or two in the left-handed super heavyweights in the world. Okay, Corey, arguably the number one super heavyweight left-handed North America. And I say that arguably only because Devon lives in Canada. Hard to say that the number two guy in the world is not the number one North American arm wrestler. Corey, I would say, is easily the number one left-handed arm wrestler in the United States. But you've got Corey going up against this world talent, certainly a world talent on his own. But the win for Corey is he really establishes where he's at, right? And what I mean by that is, let's say Corey gets he loses the match, but he wins 2 matches. That's a great accomplishment. Maybe he wins 1 match. Let's say he pins Devon. I'd hate to see any of this go to a foul-out situation. In arm wrestling, you want to see a definitive winner. When somebody fouls out, you're always wondering, is that really a win or not? At least I am. If I don't pin somebody or I don't get pinned, I don't see fouling out as really an option for loss. I just think that it's a technical loss. It's like being counted out in the WWE, right? You get counted out, but you don't lose the belt, right? You lose, but you really don't lose. You can't lose the title being counted out. So I think that Corey is in a win-win because now the opposite side of it is if he actually does win, well, now he's really in serious consideration for world title type considerations. He's got nothing to lose. Even if he gets 0-3 or 3-0, Devon on his side, he can't lose because no one is really expecting, other than in terms of his, I would say his unique fan base, which I include myself. No one is expecting outside of the fan base for Devon to lose. I mean, Devon is considered that elite level that Devon never loses, right? He going back to the WWE, he's the Bob Backlund of old WWF lore, right? Bob never lost. Superstar Billy Graham would be in there, didn't matter. Bob Backlund retained the belt. But the value of it is what I'm saying is that outside of the core people who know Corey and who are rooting for him, like myself, I think there's a pretty much an overwhelming consensus from talking to people that they don't think Corey can stop Devon, and they also think that Devon is going to stop Corey in the middle, drain his arm, which is really a Devon technique. And when Corey isn't able to bite into that arm, I think that the level of endurance and the level of arm wrestling prowess kind of goes out the window. And they may be right. Listen, they may be right. I mean, we've seen Devon do this to everybody with the exception of Levon. And when you look at what that means is that, the man has a track record of success in that level. If he can get the center pad and center table and hold Corey and not move to his side at all, that's a frustrating thing. I mean, when you're an arm wrestler and you get stuck in the middle and you're giving it your all, You can't move a man. Says it all. But I think that Devon might be a little bit more game sport driven on this one. I think maybe Devon might work on some positions with his left. Maybe he'll allow Corey to get into his lane, see if he can stop Corey in his lane. That may be maybe something later in the match. I hope so. I hope that Corey gets to find this lane and see if he can really, move Devon's arm in a way that makes it universally known that he has an opportunity to win. I'm cheering for Corey to sweep it 3-0. My biggest thing for Corey, I hope he starts hard. I also hope that he makes those adjustments that he needs. He's as strong as an ox, man. I'll tell you what. You look at on the East versus West page, Corey's actually lifting a car and moving it. That's an old Franco Colombo thing. If you guys remember Pumping Iron, Franco's in Italy and somebody's parked in, and Franco grabs the back bumper and moves a car to get him out of the parking spot. Corey picks up the back end of a car, actually moves it. He just actually moves that car. The man is incredibly strong, and he's such a gentle giant. I'm hoping that whatever makes that man move to aggression, he can do. I'm hoping he finds that lane that he can pull out an upset. I'd love to see Corey continue to grow. And I know that Corey is really putting in the time to make sure that he is growing in the sport. He's making some real life changes, which giving him more opportunity to train harder, train longer. I think Corey West is still the future of North American arm wrestling as well as world arm wrestling. And hey, who better to have as your Universal Champion World Series of Arm Wrestling than that man at Corey West? What a great individual when it comes to sportsmanship, when it comes to character, when it comes to everything that we should be judging life on. Corey West is the epitome of the correct example, and we're rooting for Corey. So, folks, 10 days out, make sure that if you're going to watch it on pay-per-view, you get your pay-per-view. If you're going to watch it live, go get your tickets. I think, you know what? I think there's some great matches there. I'm pretty excited about that. But having said all that, folks, March Madness, Tennessee. You know what I always like to say when I see my daughter in Tennessee? Hey, Megan, you know what? You're the only 10 I see. And you know what she says? Shut up, fat Craig, and buy me dinner. That happens, guys. That's just, they end up being who you are and your daughters and your kids. That's the kind of ridicule I get. So if you watch the end of this video, hopefully you did, you'll hear that and laugh. And if you didn't, well, you'll never know because you didn't watch the end of the video. Shame on you. All right, folks, it's been another great episode of Inside Arm Wrestling. Folks, remember to train hard, lift smart, and always give it your all, because that little choo-choo train as it going up the hill says, I think I can, I think I can, I know I can. Folks, great week. March Madness, East versus West, Tyson Bagent, Anthony with the Follies. What better way to start out your week? Have a great day.